it's interesting because they were talking about the sequester last year being this devastating thing that was going to happen to the economy. And now they are talking about all the money they're cutting out of the budget. Well, it's because of the sequester. If it wasn't for the sequester, those mandatory cuts, we'd have nothing. But nevertheless, they're looking at repealing that and having federal agency spending at about $1.015 trillion for years increase for years 2014, 2015. But all in all, the deal that they are cobbling right now is going to do nothing to reduce the 17.2 trillion dollars of our debt. It's going to do nothing to reduce that by all accounts. Now, it's still early in the process and some things could change. But here is the part that I was looking at last night and this morning and debating whether I want to bring this up now, because it's not firm, but it's something that is being contemplated, and both sides of the aisle seem to be somewhat in agreement with this. Now, the reason I didn't want to bring it up, because of the aggravating nature of it and the headache that it's causing me. By the way, I want to give you the phone number because we're going to take calls, 866-300-9298, 866-300-9298 if you want to weigh in. So there apparently is a deal right now that is going to save money by cutting military pensions. Cutting the pensions of the military. Paul Ryan, the Republican, Murray, the Democrat, they are agreeing to this, it looks like. So the question facing House Senate negotiators as they come to close this deal and another round of sequester happening, or can they replace some of that Pentagon spending by cutting military pensions? Let me tell you something, folks. Let me just tell you something about the stinking weasels on Capitol Hill. Let me tell you, you want to cut pensions? How about you look in the mirror if you want to start cutting pensions, and not from the men and women that allow you, fight for our freedoms, and give you the opportunity to be the weasel that you are, because this is a free nation. You want to cut something? How about the fact, let me just give you one example. George Bush the elder receives a pension from the CIA, receives a pension as a member of Congress, receives a pension as a vice president, receives a pension as a president. How about you cut them all and say you get a pension for the highest office in which you serve, period? How about you do all that? Do you know the billions of dollars that alone would cut? How about you take a look at term limits and say, by the way, when you serve one term, that is duty to your country. You get nothing. After that, you can receive a pension. How about looking about cutting the pensions of those in Congress? But no, they're not going to do that. They're going to look at cutting the pensions of our military. You got to be kidding me. You want to cut something? How about you start cutting the federal pensions of everybody else before you start looking at the military? Why is it the military is such an easy target? Let me tell you why it's an easy target. It's an easy target because we live in an environment where the military is a bad thing. We live in an environment where President Obama has made a decision that everything can be solved through political negotiations. I got your negotiations. It's political negotiations. That's the answer. So we're gonna negotiate with terrorists You know, John Kerry is being put on a pedestal as if he's the greatest statesman of all time. He's making John Adams look like a pathetic person because he's negotiating some sort of deal with the terrorist of Iran. It's unbelievable that we live in a world today. This is why military pensions are on the table, where we, America, will become stronger by making the strong weaker. I want to tell you, I'm going to be watching this, but you would all better. I don't care if you've ever served a day in the military, it's irrelevant. You better get on the phones with your congressmen, your senators, your local legislators, and say, if this goes through, you're done. You're done. It's incredible. But see, nobody cares about a strong military. Nobody. Not Paul Ryan, apparently. Not any of the other Republicans. That they could possibly be in agreement. You mean to tell me you can't look? I just got finished telling you, print the budget. It's coming out tomorrow from the Treasury Department. Take a look at all the spending. Has anybody out there that has ever worked for the military, has worked for a federal agency of anywhere, or maybe working now for them, you mean to tell me there's no fat in your department? You believe that there's no corruption in the purchasing, the GSA of the government. You believe that there's no duplicity, that we can't cut billions of dollars out, that you're just going to take an easy target like military pensions and cut that. I am praying that that could not possibly happen. Could not possibly happen. But let me just say, it's on the table. And I think it is a pathetic state of our Congress. And you know what? It probably will not see the light of mainstream media. As a matter of fact, as far as I know, I don't know anybody else that's talking about it yet. But you're going to hear me talking about it. Unfortunately, few in Washington are listening to this program. Unfortunately, we're only covering 40 states or so. And I don't know if it's going to get any legs in mainstream media. But probably not. But it's a sad day. You all know how much I love our military, how much I care about our military, how much I love this country. And it just hurts me. Let me tell you something. These aren't men and women that are retiring on big fat cat pensions by any stretch of the imagination. And we would talk about cutting some of that. Why those in Congress continue. I think we ought to pass a law. You want to save? How about we pass a law that no Congress can leave office with a net worth more than, I'll be generous, 25% of the net worth they came into, that they had when they came. How about we pass a law about that? Wouldn't that be interesting? What would lobbyists do? Oh, my word. This has got me fired up this morning. I hope it's got you fired up this morning, because you better call your congressmen, your senators, and let them know that better not even be a consideration, even something we should even be thinking about.